This is 10 News at noon.
It's Market Monday, and Eric Foster from Waltman Capital is here now to talk about how the month of February stacked up. Good to see you this afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
So it seems like we're off to a strong start this year. Did that pretty much wipe out the losses that we saw at the end of last year?
Not quite, but pretty close. The market's moving in on where it sat at the end of September of 2018, which was around its all-time high. So you had a panic at the end of the year, what seems like, and then you've had really strong action across the board so far this year.
Yeah, does that seem pretty promising?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to come down to what's the economy do.
Yeah.
We can see that it is slowing, at least compared to where it was a year ago. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole tax reform, now's the time that people are going to actually file a tax return under the new rules.
And figure out
yeah,
what this new law means.
Right, how does this impact me?
Yeah.
I'm a little suspicious that that's maybe a little more positive to the average person than they might think at this point.
Right.
So we'll see if the economy gets a little bit of a boost here in the first half from bigger refunds.
All right, now one company had a pretty bad weekend.
Yeah.
What company was that?
So Kraft Heinz reported their quarterly results on Friday.
Okay.
It's interesting, Kraft Heinz, which again has been around since the 1800s, has annual sales of about $20 billion. And again, they've spent who knows what in advertising over the last 120, 140 years. Costco's private label brand, Kirkland, which has been around for about 25 years, has sales of $35 billion.
Wow.
So, and again, not a lot of advertising. So, again, you're seeing the private label brands looked at real differently than they looked at maybe 20, 30 years ago, and being used heavily. You heard a lot of people saying, was that a shift towards more healthy and more organic, which maybe that's an impact around the edges. I think people tend to eat what they want to eat, regardless. But you've got a whole new player in the food industry that really hasn't been there other than the last decade, 15 years.
All right. Now, we have about 30 seconds left, but I did want to ask you, a big change that's coming later this year is Brexit. You've talked about that in the past. How do you think that's going to impact us?
I think the expectations for Brexit, especially heavy, where that was kind of an Armageddon event into the world, and those tend to get overstated. So I'm curious to see how European stocks do this year. My guess is they might actually, once that goes away as an issue, I'd be curious if that doesn't kind of clear the way to some better returns. Expectations are super low, which is usually a good time to invest.
Yeah, all right, we'll see what happens. Eric, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you very much.
You bet.